Hello everyone, today is all about virtual energy. I will explain you what it is, what it does, and what you need to account for so it doesn't ruin your race. Let's dive right into it. What is the virtual energy? Virtual energy is a tool used in the WEC to basically restrict the length of a stint independently from a car manufacturer. This means it doesn't matter if you drive a Ferrari GT3, BMW GT3, or even in the hypercar class, it doesn't matter, it's the same everywhere. You should be able to do the same stint length at the end. And this is where the virtual energy is used. It's basically a BOP principle, let's say, to just get the car or give every car an equal stint length, right? It's important for you to understand that the virtual energy is basically the determined factor when you drive. So even if you have still some gasoline left, so to say, if your virtual energy is basically 0%, this means you'll get a penalty. So when we drive, we need to always refer to the virtual energy if we want to make it or not, and not the real fuel. In order to set the virtual energy correctly up, we need to look at the fuel ratio. This is why we dive now into the setup menu. As we arrive now in the setup menu, we need to go into the powertrain tab and look at the engine. It's here on the top left. And we have on the one hand the virtual energy and on the other hand the fuel ratio. Virtual energy is basic value from 0 to 100%, and the fuel ratio is a tool we can basically adjust to match our real tank to the virtual tank. This is crucial because if we have an offset there, we will run into the issue I just explained earlier, that we could have more fuel left, but the virtual energy is running low. Or we have still a lot of virtual energy, but we have no fuel, right? And this is why it's crucial to set this fuel ratio. And if you want to know how to do it, stay tuned. We'll go now onto the track and do it together. So as we're heading out now, we need to look at the bottom right HUD. We have there the red and the blue tank. NRG is the virtual tank in this case. The length of the bar on the real fuel tank doesn't matter. What's crucial is the values behind the fuel number. So right now we have 28.8 laps real fuel and 32.5 on the virtual fuel. And now our target is to do laps, check our fuel consumption and try to match those values so they basically stay the same. And right now we already get the first indicator that we might need to add some fuel. But crucial, those numbers, they only depend on the fuel consumption you have in the car. So after our first lap, it will jump and be different. So this is why it's so important to not only do one lap, but do 3, 4 to set it up nicely. As you see, we went now over the line. And if I'm not mistaken, the virtual energy increased slightly, but the fuel ratio still stayed low. So this gives us the first hint now that we need to add some more fuel into the car. Let's have a look now, after we finish this lap, how the values change again. And as you see right now, if I would just drive a race with that fuel ratio, I'll basically run out of fuel way before I'm running out of virtual energy. So this would mean I would just not use the entire potential of the virtual energy, and I could lose potentially a lot of lap time. So now we see it adjusted again, both values drop, but we still have a gap of, almost 3 laps, I would say, we need to cover. And of course, by the way, a fun fact, I'm on 30.5%, 30.5 laps of fuel on the virtual side. If I do now some lift and coast, of course, I will also reduce my virtual energy consumption. This means with some fuel saving, I could even basically bring my virtual energy to 31 laps, essentially. Alright, now last lap, what we will use for the fuel consumption. Let's have a look now how it will change. And we see we have now 26.6 laps of real tank and 29.2 of the virtual tank. Now what we do is, after our run, we go here into the 5th HUD option, fuel, and we check our fuel usage is 2 liters. So if we look now at the virtual tank again, we need approximately 2.6 laps more of real fuel. What do? We take our fuel usage here, the 2.02 liters, multiply it by 2.6, and then we arrive at somewhat 6-7 liters around. Let's say I increase now then the fuel ratio by 6 clicks, for example, so 6 liters. I'll go now out on the track and check if we arrive now at our target. As we drive already out, we see, compared to last time, that the values between the real tank and the virtual tank are much closer. So this means we already went into the right direction. But of course we want to not just guesstimate, we want to also check if it was the right adjustment we did. This means we'll do now again 2-3 laps and check if the values stay the same. Another tip again, just to remind you, don't look too much at the length of the bar, right? Especially when it comes to the real fuel tank. And if you also have to choose if you put 1 liter or more or less into the car, always go for the 1 liter more, because the bigger mistake is having not enough fuel than too much. Alright, now we arrive after our outlap. As I said, outlap is always not really representative. But let's have a look what the first change will be. See, first change, it says to us, hey, you need to put in more fuel, and this is why we need to do another 2 laps to just double check. So let's see you guys onto the end of the next lap again. Alright, now as we are finishing the lap, do we need to go even higher on the fuel ratio or not? And what do we have? It's almost perfectly matched up. Now, I could wonder, well, I only have 0.2 laps of a difference. Should I increase the fuel ratio again by 1 liter? And I would say yes. So I'm just like over the virtual energy tank, so I will never have an issue again there. I hope it was clear how important it is to set the virtual energy up correctly, as if you don't do it right, it can cost you a lot of penalties and places, of course. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment what you liked about the video, maybe some improvement aspects. But nonetheless, I thank you for taking your time. I hope it helped you, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.